Welcome to MMA Fancast. My name is Luke Payson, and I am honored to have back on the show Wendy Anundson. Wendy, welcome back.
Great to be here.
This is a long time coming. You've been staying so busy in fighting amateur MMA that we haven't been able to squeeze you in between all your fights. Why don't we jump in and talk about your fight rate currently? How many fights have you had in the last couple months, and how has that been for you so far?
So in the last 8 weeks, I actually fought 4 times, and all 4 of them were wins by rear naked choke. So 3 in the first round, 1 in the second round.
And then the fight just before that was actually a kickboxing fight, and I think we talked about that one before, and that was a doctor stoppage kickboxing. So you're on a 4-fight MMA streak, a 5-fight martial arts streak. What has really brought everything together? I think you're 11-3 as an amateur, and what has really rounded out your game and made your last 4 or 5 fights so dominant?
Well, if you think about it, most of my fights are like that. I have 9 first-round finishes and 2 second-round finishes. Earlier in my career, I had 2 losses, and then I had a pretty tough fight last November with Lanisha Vince, and that one went all 5 rounds. But I have been training really hard. I mean, I always train super hard. I train about 8 hours a day, so I'm in here in the gym in the morning for like 4 hours and then another 4 hours at night. So I'm really giving it all I got.
You really are. You represent Battleborn, BJJ, and MMA. And previously you've talked about how, you're married to the head coach and owner of that gym. You guys relocated out from Vegas. And I just had Cam Sandoval on the show, and he was one of the guys that came with you that did the move from Vegas, which was really kind of cool because I know you had talked about that before. And I had Kelly, your husband, on the show before his retirement fight. So you guys have been cooking on all cylinders the last couple months. You're already training as a professional. You mentioned training 8 hours a day. Let's talk about the fact that you are now a professional MMA fighter. You signed a contract. That's big news. Talk about that.
I did. I'm really excited about it. I'm going to be making my pro debut for Fury Fighting Championship on December 3rd in Houston, Texas. It'll be on UFC Fight Pass. I'm going to fight a girl. She's pretty tough. She's well-rounded. But I think that we're going to have another finish.
And that is really cool to be on UFC Fight Pass. I believe this is going to be at 115 pounds. What's the weight class? I know you've been bouncing around weight classes.
Yeah. So it'll be at 115 pounds. I've been fighting at 125. I fought for the conflict belt at 125 pounds, and then I fought 135 pounds the week after. But I didn't even weigh 135 pounds. I was like 126 pounds. The day of weigh-ins, I had to chug a bunch of water, wear some extra clothes when I stepped on the scale, So I'm definitely a 115er. My last 4 fights, I didn't have to cut any weight at all. I just woke up and I was on weight. So.
And talk about what makes you and your coach Kelly confident that now's the time to go pro. Was there a game plan when you lined up all these fights, 4 fights in 8 weeks? Was that kind of the game plan? Get through a couple of these title shots and then go pro?
Yeah, that was the game plan. I didn't expect it to all be crammed into such a short time span, but it's just kind of how it all worked out. I mean, the beginning of the year, we'd been looking for fights, and I had a bunch of stuff happen where opponents were dropping out or not able to fight anymore. And so I was just kind of waiting. And then finally I got somebody that would fight me. And then after that, it was just like boom, boom, boom. People were just accepting. And so we said, let's do it. If I'm not hurt, then might as well go for it.
And now that your amateur career is officially over, what sort of stands out for you in and that's a lot of fights because it's 14 MMA fights plus of course kickboxing and other, I'm sure, grappling tournaments and jiu-jitsu. So what really stands out to you in your amateur career?
What really stands out to me? Let's see. Well, I just know that I'm ready to go pro. I have done tons of jiu-jitsu matches. I've done point kickboxing tournaments. I've done actual kickboxing fights, tons of MMA fights. And that was kind of the plan. Kelly wanted me to have about, 20 fights, a lot of experience before I go pro, so that when I'm ready to go pro, I can just bust out a bunch of fights all at once and hopefully make it to the UFC. A bunch of wins, I guess.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. It's great that you guys are obviously trusting each other on the same page. It's a really special thing. Now I know you're at the gym. How much of the gym sort of ownership also falls on you? Are you doing books or any type of the business side? Because obviously you guys, this is your family business, plus you're also a professional fighter. So how does it all work out? Are you going to dial some of that back as you prepare for December 3rd?
Well, I do the books, but I also teach classes too at the gym, and I help Kelly teach the classes as well. I think that teaching actually makes you a better martial artist. So if you can teach something, then you definitely know the moves. So when you're showing the moves in front of the entire class, you have to do it perfectly, right? So I'm getting my training in even when I'm teaching classes. And then, yeah, like I said, teaching helps. I've progressed exponentially since I started teaching.
Sure. And I think another aspect of teaching that's so helpful is the people you're teaching ask questions that maybe you hadn't thought of, some modifications or some different scenarios. So you go in teaching a skill, they start asking questions, and you start problem solving in a way that helps them, but also helps you. I know that's a big part of any martial arts. You've seen all types of tweaks in jiu-jitsu as people develop different types of games and different types of attacks. Same thing in MMA. So obviously, I'm super excited for both of you. What was it like? Because I don't think we've talked to you about this. What was it like being there for Kelly's retirement fight? That was obviously, he had been away for a while because of injuries and other things. What was it like being in the corner and the supporter versus your roles are typically reversed? And what kind of stands out for you in that?
Oh, it was amazing. Like I hadn't seen Kelly fight in person before, and I knew he was going to go out there and kick some ass, but I was a little bit nervous just because I had never actually seen him fight in person before, and obviously I love him. Um, Knew he was going to run straight through that guy, but I still had the anxiety, and I was like, "Oh man, is this how you feel every single time I fight?" And he's like, "Yes." I was like, "Okay, I get it." But he masks it well, better than I do. I think I was all jittery and excited and all over the place. Um, but ultimately, it was amazing. It felt really good to be there for him because he's always there for me.
Yeah, that must have been really special. And now the roles are back the way they usually are because he'll be in your corner as you move into pro MMA. What do you think it's like your debut? It's for another organization, but it's on UFC Fight Pass. How important do you think that is to start getting eyes and focus on you? Bonesaw. How do you think that's going to play out being on UFC Fight Pass?
Well, I definitely think it's a great opportunity because there'll be a lot of eyes on me, um, and I'm ready to put on an amazing show. So,
Well, that is great. I'm excited for you. Congratulations to you. And obviously everybody at Battleborn, BJJ and MMA, you guys, Kelly and everybody, we mentioned Cam Sandoval, you guys are really on a tear. I really appreciate you coming on. It's been great catching up with you. Can't wait to see how you dominate December 3rd. So thanks so much for coming back on. As always, please subscribe to the channel to watch more of. I'm going to be trying to follow more of Battleborn, even though I'm from Pittsburgh. It's really cool to have sort of another gym I follow. So a big thanks to you and Kelly for kind of being a gym I follow out of the state. So thanks to you. And you've been listening to Luke Basin with MMA Fancast and Wendy Bonesaw Anundson. Thanks so much. You take care.